What if I told you the secret to hitting a full century isn't a fancy supplement or a high-tech workout, but something you can start doing right now with a neighbor? Most people chase exotic diets and endless routines, yet centenarians across the globe swear by a handful of everyday habits that feel almost too simple to be true. In the next few minutes, I'll reveal 4 counterintuitive habits that let you add years, boost health, and feel more alive today. Stick around, and you'll walk away with a concrete 5-minute action you can try this afternoon. Starting right now, why social ties matter is something the science can't ignore. Studies from the Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health show that people with strong social connections live about 50% longer than those who are socially isolated. Loneliness isn't just a feeling. It spikes inflammation, raises blood pressure, and weakens the immune system, all of which accelerate aging. In fact, a meta-analysis of 70 studies found that lacking close relationships is as harmful to mortality as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. So if you're aiming for 100, the first habit you need to master is building real face-to-face bonds. What centenarians actually do goes beyond occasional holiday calls. In the villages of Sardinia, the blue zone where many live past 100, elders gather every afternoon for coffee, card games, or simple chores alongside grandchildren and neighbors. In Okinawa, Japanese seniors participate in a weekly moe, a small purpose-driven group that meets to share meals, discuss goals, and support each other financially if needed. In the United States, the 102-year-old survivor of the 1918 flu pandemic, Hilda Miller, still walks 3 miles a day with her church group, stopping to chat with anyone who joins. The common thread isn't technology. It's intentional, regular, multi-generational interaction that makes each person feel needed and valued. How you can copy that pattern starts with 3 tiny steps. First, pick a fixed time each week, maybe Saturday morning, and invite a neighbor, coworker, or family member for a 30-minute coffee or walk. Treat it like a non-negotiable appointment. Put it in your calendar and protect it. Second, find a local club or community class that matches an interest. Gardening, book clubs, dance, or a volunteer fire brigade. Even a short weekly commitment creates a rhythm of belonging. Third, add a micro-habit of daily check-ins. A quick knock on a neighbor's door, a text asking "How are you?" followed by a brief in-person chat if they're home. The goal is consistency, not length. Research shows that 5 minutes of genuine eye contact each day can lower cortisol by up to 20%, giving your body a measurable stress buffer. Most people think a Facebook friend list or a TikTok following counts as a social network, but that's a dangerous shortcut. Online interactions lack the physical cues, tone, posture, touch, that trigger oxytocin release, the hormone that builds trust and repairs cells. I once tried to replace my weekly coffee meetups with a group chat, and within a month, my sleep quality slipped, and I felt a vague fatigue that no supplement could fix. The lesson is clear. Virtual connections supplement. They don't substitute real-world contact. Quick win time. Tomorrow, walk to the house opposite yours. Knock and ask if they'd like a cup of tea. Spend just 5 minutes listening to whatever they want to share: news, a story from their youth, or a simple "How's your day?" You'll notice a lift in your mood almost instantly, and you'll have started a habit that can compound for decades. One study from the University of Michigan followed 7,000 adults for 20 years and found that those who felt connected to their community had a 30% lower risk of heart disease than isolated peers. Researchers noted that even weekly interactions, like a garden plot or a potluck, provided enough social bandwidth to buffer stress hormones. That's why scaling up from one small habit can create a ripple effect across your health. Now that you've built a support net, let's see how mindset shapes longevity. Why constant hustle shortens health span is clear in the science. When you sprint from meeting to meeting, your body pumps cortisol and adrenaline hormones built for short-term danger, not a 100-year life. Chronic cortisol erodes telomeres, the caps on our DNA, and keeps blood sugar in a stress-induced zone that fuels inflammation. A 2018 University of California, Riverside study of 1,300 adults showed that always being busy raised cardiovascular risk by 27%, compared with a moderately paced lifestyle. In short, non-stop pressure ages your cells faster. What centenarians actually practice is the opposite of our 9-to-5 grind. In Ikigai, Greece, another blue zone, elders move through the day like a slow river. Mornings begin with a leisurely cup of tea, a light stretch, then garden work at a calm rhythm. They describe it as being in the present rather than getting things done. In Okinawa, seniors follow Ikigai, blending purpose with gentle pacing. Each afternoon, they set a single slow hour for reading, knitting, or simply watching the sunset, deliberately avoiding screens or multitasking. The goal isn't laziness. It's intentional pacing that lets the parasympathetic nervous system dominate us, lowering heart rate, improving digestion, and giving the brain time to consolidate memories. How you can adopt purposeful slow living starts with 3 concrete steps you can embed right now. First, carve out a daily slow hour. Choose a 60-minute window. You won't be pulled into meetings, perhaps after dinner. During that hour, turn off notifications. Put your phone on airplane mode and pick one low-stress activity, reading a chapter, tending a houseplant, or just sipping tea while watching the sky. Second, practice single tasking. Instead of checking email while cooking, give each task full attention. Research shows multitasking cuts efficiency by up to 40%. And raises error rates, which over a lifetime adds mental fatigue. Begin with a 15-minute timer and focus on one chore, say, washing dishes, without distraction. Third, add micro-mindfulness breaks every 2 hours. Pause for 30 seconds. Place your hands on your abdomen and take 3 deep breaths, feeling the rise and fall of your chest. This brief reset triggers the vagus nerve, shifting you from fight or flight to rest and digest in under a minute. A common mistake is to confuse busy with productive. Many brag about juggling 3 projects at once, assuming more activity equals more value. The truth is chronic busyness depletes the cellular repair mechanisms that keep us alive. When you cram a workout, a Zoom call, and dinner prep into the same half hour, you force your nervous system to stay in high gear, preventing the deep sleep-like recovery that longevity research says is essential. Remember, the aim isn't to do less work, it's to do the right work at the right pace. Quick win. After this video, set a timer for 5 minutes. Step away from your desk and walk outside without your phone. Notice the colors, sounds, and temperature of the air. No multitasking, no scrolling. Just pure observation. You'll feel a subtle drop in tension and have taken the first step toward a daily habit that can add years. Research from the University of Exeter showed that adults who schedule a daily low-intensity mindfulness slot see a 15% drop in age-related cognitive decline after 2 years, proving that small, consistent pauses add up. Even 5 minutes a day, practiced consistently, can shift your biological age by a measurable significant amount. Now that you've learned how to slow down with purpose, the next habit tackles the body directly. Why movement matters beyond the typical gym cardio routine is something most of us overlook. Research from the Mayo Clinic shows that staying upright, maintaining joint range, and preserving balance are stronger predictors of longevity than the number of miles you log on a treadmill. When you move in varied functional ways, bending, lifting, stepping sideways, you keep the connective tissue supple, you train the nervous system to fire correctly, and you maintain metabolic flexibility, the ability of your cells to switch between glucose and fat for fuel. What centenarians actually practice looks nothing like a high-intensity interval class. In the Italian village of Villa Grande, elders rise at dawn and spend an hour tending vineyards, squatting to pull weeds and carrying baskets of olives. In the Japanese island of Okinawa, seniors incorporate Kaizen movement, short bursts of activity woven into daily chores, lifting rice sacks, kneeling to wash dishes, or doing a few gentle Tai Chi poses while waiting for the kettle. In the United States, 101-year-old Mary Thompson still does a daily routine of light resistance using water jugs, walks the block twice, and ends her day with a series of seated leg lifts on her porch. How you can copy that pattern without buying a membership or buying fancy equipment is surprisingly simple. First, break your day into 3-minute micro-sessions. Set a timer for 3 minutes every hour and perform a mini-circuit. 10 bodyweight squats, 10 calf raises, and a quick hamstring stretch. The goal isn't to exhaust yourself, it's to keep the muscles firing, the blood flowing, and the joints lubricated. Second, adopt the chair stand habit each morning. From a sturdy chair, sit down fully, then stand up without using your hands. Aim for 5 repetitions. Pause. Then repeat for a total of 3 sets. This single movement engages the quadriceps, glutes, and core, muscles that protect you from falls. Third, incorporate purposeful walking. Instead of a single long walk, split it into 2 or 3 shorter walks that end with a functional task. Carry a bag of groceries up a flight of stairs, or pause to stretch your arms overhead while waiting for a traffic light. Those brief challenges keep bone density up and improve proprioception, the sense of where your body is in space. A common mistake is to assume that only high-intensity training counts toward longevity. The no pain, no gain mindset pushes many older adults into risky sprint intervals, which can spike blood pressure and increase injury risk. Centenarians prove the opposite. They move often, but they move gently. If you spend an hour on a spin bike at 90 RPM, you may burn calories, but you also stress cartilage and deplete the very recovery systems you need for a long life. The key is consistency over intensity. Even a 5-minute session repeated 12 times a day adds up to an hour of movement without the wear and tear. Quick win. Tomorrow morning after brushing, do a 5-minute chair stand circuit. Stand up, sit down, repeat for 3 minutes, then finish with 10 ankle circles each side. You'll feel an activation in your legs, and you'll have started a habit that can be expanded as you get comfortable. One study from the University of Copenhagen followed 2,500 adults over 15 years and found that the participants who performed at least 30 minutes of low-impact functional activity per day had a 22% lower risk of developing cardiovascular disease compared with those who only did vigorous gym sessions. The researchers noted that the low-impact group also reported fewer joint complaints and higher scores on balance tests, reinforcing the idea that movement designed for everyday life is the most protective. Now that you've built a support net and you've learned how to slow down with purpose, the next habit tackles the body directly. Transition cue. Movement keeps the body ready. The final habit fuels it from the inside. Why the newest diet trends, keto, intermittent fasting, ultra-low-calorie plans rarely last is simple. They treat food as a quick fix instead of a daily building block. Constantly chasing the next miracle leads to cycles of restriction, binge, and metabolic stress, which raise cortisol, disrupt gut microbes, and erode insulin sensitivity, key drivers of cellular aging. A 2022 review in Nutrients showed that diets focused on long-term nutrient density rather than short-term calorie cuts correlated with a 15% lower risk of age-related chronic disease. In short, the secret isn't a pill, it's a steady pattern of whole foods that keep cells nourished day after day. What centenarians actually serve up looks like a modest family dinner. In Sardinia, elders fill half their plate with leafy greens, cabbage, broccoli, wild dandelion, rich in polyphenols and vitamin K. A modest portion of whole grain pasta or beans provides plant protein and slow-digesting carbs, while a drizzle of extra virgin olive oil adds anti-inflammatory fats. Okinawans add sweet potatoes, seaweed, and fermented soy, such as miso or natto, to boost gut health and supply antioxidants. In the U.S. Midwest, 102-year-old farmer Earl Johnson still starts his day with oatmeal topped with berries, a handful of walnuts, and black tea. No dairy, no processed sugar in. The common thread is 3 simple rules. Plant-forward plates, modest portions that respect natural hunger, and regular minimally processed meals, spaced every 3 to 4 hours. How you can turn that blueprint into a habit you can start this afternoon is easier than you think. First, adopt the plate-a-half vegetables rule. For every meal, fill one half of your plate with non-starchy veggies. Spinach, carrots, bell peppers, or whatever is in season. Second, pick a single source of plant protein per day. Lentils, chickpeas, tofu, or a serving of fish if you eat animal products, and keep the portion to roughly the size of your palm. Third, add a fermented food, a spoonful of kimchi, a cup of kefir, or a slice of sourdough to boost gut diversity. Fourth, stay hydrated with water or herbal tea. Skip sugary drinks and limit coffee to 2 cups. To lock the habit, write down the vegetables you'll use tomorrow and shop only for those items. A common mistake is over-relying on supplements to fill nutritional gaps. A 2021 meta-analysis in JAMA found that multivitamin use did not lower overall mortality, and high doses of isolated antioxidants can actually increase oxidative stress. Real food delivers a matrix of fiber, phytonutrients, and micronutrients that work together, something a pill can't replicate. Swapping a processed snack for a handful of nuts and a piece of fruit not only adds healthy fats and fiber, but also provides a suite of vitamins that support cellular repair, improve lipid profiles, stabilize blood sugar, and lower inflammatory markers, all hallmarks of a longer health span. Quick win. Choose one snack you normally reach for, say, a bag of chips, and swap it right now for a small bowl of mixed berries topped with a sprinkle of chia seeds. Eat it mindfully. Notice the texture, sweetness, and the slight crunch of the seeds. In 10 minutes, you'll feel a gentle energy lift and have practiced the habit of choosing whole, nutrient-dense foods over processed emptiness. One Blue Zone study followed 4,000 residents for a decade. Those who ate a plant-forward, low-processed diet saw a 22% significant drop in all-cause mortality and kept telomere length 1.3 times longer than neighbors on a typical Western diet. The lesson: simple. Consistent food choices act like DNA maintenance. The 4 habits: deep social ties, purposeful slow living, natural functional movement, and simple whole food eating are the common thread that lets centenarians thrive. Pick one habit to try this week, share your experience in the comments, and watch how your health improves. If you found this valuable, hit subscribe and tap the bell so you never miss another science-backed longevity hack. Consistent practice will compound benefits, turning small changes into vitality.